Welcome back to another Bellator fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting some of the key fights for Bellator 237, Fedor versus Rampage. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight that I'll be predicting. So in our first fight, we have, in a catchweight bout, Michael Venom Page versus Shinzo Anzai. So looking at this fight right here, you got a grappler versus a striker. But this is always with these fights, it's not just a striker versus grappler matchup. It's an MMA matchup, but Michael Venom Page's strength is clearly in striking, and Shinzo Anzai's strength is clearly in grappling. But who has the bigger strength between the two? I say Michael Venom Page gap in his striking, the gap between their striking is much larger than the gap between their wrestling. As far as their styles and their skills, the gap in their skills are way bigger in favor of Venom Page. I think even if Anzai was able to get Venom Page down and he can handle his own on the ground or be able to get back to his feet, I think his grappling is really underrated. I don't really see Shinzo Anzai as a fighter that has really the best transitions or the heaviest ground to pound or really the best submission skills to begin with anyway. And I feel like between the two, Michael Venom Page on the feet, matter of fact, just in general, he's a much faster, more technical fighter overall between the two. Shinzo Anzai is more so like kind of a broad style of fighter, just one real strength. I think Venom Page could even possibly submit Shinzo Anzai. I would even say that, but I'm not even going to go up there. I'm going to say between the two, what Shinzo Anzai is going to come in there, he's going to come in there, probably trying to pressure, probably trying to go for a takedown, and probably trying to get the fight to his game. But I feel like Venom Page is too fast, too good at controlling the cage, controlling the range. And really, Anzai's game plan is going to be too straightforward and too easy to predict, which is going to really allow Venom Page to shine. So he'll be able to probably draw out reactions from Anzai and catch him with strikes, or maybe flying knees, maybe catch him with kicks, catch him with punches, blitz him if he tries to, get him to react, and just keep angling off on him and never really allows Anzai to be comfortable or really finding openness for his takedown attempts. I feel like Venom Page can beat him like 3 times to the punch or 4 times to the punch before Anzai can even make a really motion. I think Venom Page is much faster, much sharper than Anzai. And like I said, Anzai's game plan or his approach is going to be too straightforward, which is going to allow Venom Page to thrive. So I feel like in this fight, pretty much Michael Page just puts on a clinic against Anzai unless he makes mistakes. And Venom Page rarely ever makes mistakes. I don't think Anzai is going to cause him to make any mistakes. I feel like Venom Page, like I said, just picks him apart on feet and puts him away in the first round. So in this fight, I got Michael Venom Page via first round TKO. Now on to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, Goatee Yamauchi versus Darren Cruickshank. So look at this fight right here. You got a karate striker with a kind of a wrestler background in Darren Cruickshank. You got Goatee Yamauchi, who's I think born MMA fight, not born, but he kind of started up in MMA. His whole skill set started up in MMA, whereas Cruickshank kind of had wrestling, he did karate, then he combined the two and became a mixed martial artist and started doing MMA. Whereas Goatee Yamauchi was from the start, just started in MMA and just worked all the skill sets. But when I look at this fight right here, I see the clearest path to just predict this one right here is that Cruickshank doesn't really have the best history track record of versus grapplers, and Yamauchi is one of the better grapplers that he has ever faced. I think on the feet, Cruickshank can definitely cause some problems, but Goatee Yamauchi is very defensively sound, very good at controlling the range. I think he can neutralize a lot of what Cruickshank wants to do on the feet, and especially if Cruickshank wants to throw kicks, which is really his best tool are his kicks. I think Goatee Yamauchi can read those very well, catch a kick or avoid a kick and off that kick get a takedown and take it to where he's definitely going to have the strength in grappling. Now I feel like on the ground, Yamauchi can basically do whatever he wants with Cruickshank on the ground if he's able to get him there. Getting him there might be the issue, but if he can read those kicks very well and counter off those kicks and get some takedowns, I think this would be a very easy fight for Yamauchi. And I see that kind of how it's playing out. I think Yamauchi has a higher fight IQ. He has a good read for fights and reach for situations. And he can draw out mistakes in other fighters that will allow him to get to the ground. And I think on the ground, Yamauchi dominates. I think he dominates him through the first round. And I think in the second round, he's able to get him down in the same position and then put him out with a submission. So in this fight, I got Goatee Yamauchi via second round submission. Now to our next fight we have in the welterweight division, Larkin versus Kita Nakamura. So right here, it's another one of these grappler versus striker matchups. Kita Nakamura is certainly a full mixed martial artist, and the striking game can be a little bit underrated. Definitely got good power, he got some good shots in there, some good teep kicks. He has some good tools in there, but his striking game is nowhere near comparable to Larkin. I think at this moment right now, I think Larkin is finally, getting sharp and getting accustomed to Bellator, because in his last fight, he looked real solid in his last fight against a former Bellator champion, and he looked clean. I'm forgetting the guy's name right now, that's why I'm not saying it. But wait one second. Yeah, I just had to remember the guy's name, Andre Koreskov. So Andre Koreskov, former Bellator champion, was like pretty much 1A, 1B at one point with like Douglas Lima. So a very good name to beat, and he fought him a very competitive fight and really shut down a lot of it. What Andre Koreskov has a solid striking and good grappling. He was able to really neutralize a lot of his grappling and really keep the fight where he wanted it to. And I can see this kind of as a similar template in this fight. I think, as a matter of fact, I think Koreskov is better than Keita Nakamura in my opinion. Maybe not as good as a grappler per se, but certainly could keep up. And on the field, I think he's a much better striker than Keita Nakamura. But this is not MMA math or this and that. It's a new fight every time. But I feel like Lorenz Larkin can definitely either keep the fight on his feet, or if it goes to the ground, his scramble ability is looking sharp and clean. He could get back to his feet. I think on the feet, he's just too fast and got too many tools for Keita Nakamura on the feet. And I think he's able to just find. And also, Keita Nakamura's defense on the feet is pretty questionable. He kind of keeps his hands like a mummy, like they're kind of up, but they're not up. Like they're up and flat. Like it's a very weird style of striking that doesn't really favor him. It's kind of a lot of errors right there. So he's open over the top and to the body. He's really open everywhere on the feet. But he's a tough guy. He got a lot of heart. But I feel like Lorenz Larkin will be able to be much faster than him, take advantage of all these wide open holes that Keita Nakamura has in his striking, and just really just pick him apart. And if it goes to the ground, he'll be able to scramble up, and I think he'll have a good success defending the shots as well. And like I said, I think he takes advantage of those holes, those big gaping holes, and puts them out of there. And I'm going to say he puts them out of there in the mid portion of that second round. So in this fight, I got Lorenz Larkin via second round TKO. Now to our co-main event, we have a catchweight bout, I believe, or it's going to be a lightweight bout, but whatever the case it may be, it's Michael Chandler versus Sydney Outlaw. So I actually hadn't watched this guy fight up until today, really. And I saw him win his fight against Roger Huerta. At least I heard the news of him winning. I saw like pictures on Twitter and stuff, and people saying he looked like a combination of John Jones and Tony Ferguson. And he kind of does, but when you watch him fight, he doesn't really look like them too much. Like upper body, maybe from like the abdomen up, like his chest and his shoulders, and the lift of his arms, and his face looked like a fusion of John Jones and Tony Ferguson. But his lower body, he's much more thicker lower body. He's kind of short. He's like 5'8" and kind of thick, but his upper body got long limbs. He got the John Jones face and Tony Ferguson face mixture. But that's besides the point. What his skill set does he bring? He has some pretty good wrestling. He's pretty powerful, could take you down. I don't think he could push that high of a pace. I mean, like consistently push that high of a pace. I've seen him have cardio issues against Roger Huerta, and he was slowing down against Roger Huerta at times and looking fatigued at times against Roger Huerta, who is a fighter that hasn't really been his best in like 10 years. So that's not really the best showing to really be fatiguing against Roger Huerta. And I'm not saying that Roger Huerta is a bad fighter, but if you're going against Chandler, that's not the best last performance to have. Looking tired, yes, he looked powerful in the wrestling, but Michael Chandler is a much better or much more accoladed wrestler. I would give Michael Chandler the wrestling aspect. And that's where you really want to take the fight. And that's all you're going to really have your strength in. And Michael Chandler's going to be better in that one area that you have than him. I mean, one area that you have, then that's kind of a questionable strength to have. And then, so yes, he's pretty strong, solid wrestling, solid grappling, creative with his submission skills. I don't know how good he is off his back. Didn't really get to see that. And striking looked all right, but at times it did look sloppy and labored after he was, started to slow down from wrestling. But in this fight right here, kind of get more to the point and not dragging on too much. I just feel like Michael Chandler's striking is way sharper. He knows how to put that power behind his punches, know how to explode on the shots, know how to put all his weight in his shots, and he's very fast, very sharp. So clearly the better striker between the two. Distance, as a matter of fact, go all stuff like distance, range, putting shots, setting up shots with shots and stuff. He just understands the game of striking much better, whereas Outlaw or Sydney is still trying to learn his striking game. It's still kind of like labored and he put a lot of energy and exertion to shots that don't have his power behind. Like he'd be putting full exertion to arm punches, don't really know how to put the power behind his shots. It's just a lot of questionable things about striking. Like he still needs a lot of improvement on striking. So clearly Michael Chandler is the better striker. Wrestling, it might be a case that he might be the better wrestler than Chandler by some weird case, but I would still lean to Chandler that he's the better wrestler. And even if he is maybe a better wrestler by some weird chance or by some surprise, looking at that fight with Huerta, he can't push as high of a pace as Chandler can for long. I think Chandler's the more well-conditioned athlete. He could push a higher pace, especially been in these 5-round fights and man push a high pace consistently. I think that would definitely be a huge factor favoring heavily on Chandler's side. Pace, pressure, striking, wrestling could be a toss. I'm still going to lean to Chandler. Accolades definitely clearly in Chandler's side. So I feel like Chandler is really better every area, and Outlaw won't be able to put him in positions that will favor him. if Sidney can maybe take him down and control him for a bit of time, he might have success. But that's really his only path to victory, or maybe catching him. But like I said, haven't really seen him be able to put that much power behind the shots. But you be putting full power into some arm shots, so that's really not gonna knock no one out. So I really in this fight just feel like I said, Chandler is better in just about every area, every aspect. And I feel like he could take him down and dominate if he wants to, or he can dominate him on the feet. I think he really just goes out there and dominates on the feet, shuts down his takedowns, and just goes out there and puts the power on him, finds those openings, and just crack him and put him out. But I think, matter of fact, I think he does it in the first round. So in this fight, I got Michael Chandler via first round TKO. Now on to our main event, we have in the heavyweight division, Fedor Emelianenko versus Quentin Rampage Jackson. So first off, I'm going to say Quentin Rampage Jackson is my favorite fighter, period, of all time. Boxing, MMA, kickboxing, Muhammad Ali, and all those people in there, Floyd Mayweather. Rampage is my favorite fighter. Some other guys I might admire more, and you probably want to model yourself after more. But as far as like a fighter who I kind of came into MMA and watching, and came into combat sports watching, and tuned in and wanted to watch all fights and wanted to watch them win, and really got behind them. Rampage is that dude. Rampage is my favorite fighter, period. So, but I'm not going to be biased in this one. I'm going to say it straight up. So I just want to get that out of there first. But so Fedor versus Rampage. How I see this one is two guys that are definitely past their prime, way past their prime. But I see Fedor as the more hungry guy, in my opinion, than Rampage. They both got old. They both slowed down. But Fedor at least seems to be at least trying to keep himself in condition and in shape as best as possible, more than Rampage is. Neither of them are definitely not in the best shape they possibly could be. But at least Fedor is showing a little bit more hunger, or a lot more hunger, than Rampage. Rampage, like, he went from being kind of slim and slender to kind of bulking up to then kind of being real toned and strong to kind of being a bloated tone, and now he's just straight up fat. He just kind of stopped caring. And you can even say, oh, he's going to get up for Fedor, but he fought literally his career rival in his last fight, and he still came in and fat as he's ever been in the fight, I believe. So, yes, Fedor, he probably can get up for Fedor, but if he didn't get up for his career rival, I doubt he'll get up any more for Fedor. I know he respects Fedor, but if you fight a guy that you had literally a grudge match with your whole career, and you can get in your best, at least your best, decent enough shape, then I doubt he'll do anything for Fedor. And now, skills versus skills. I would say Rampage is the better striker between the two, but I feel like even though he put on his weight and he come up from, like, he's really the smaller fighter overall in the career, because he used to be a light heavyweight, used to be a slender light heavyweight or middleweight by Pride, whatever Pride labeled it is. But I feel like most times when people come up, even when they come up fat, their hands be faster than maybe the guys up a weight class. But Rampage's hands are actually slower than Fedor's hands. So Rampage came up, but he still, matter of fact, he came up, got fat, and he basically became a heavyweight. His hands aren't even that fast. They're kind of slow. They definitely got a lot of power, but they're very slow. I think Fedor, even though he's a resident heavyweight, been a heavyweight his whole career, his hands are, I think, a good clip faster than Rampage hands. I say Rampage has a better defense, and if Fedor got sloppy, he could definitely knock him out, because Fedor does swing some wild shots at time, and that can definitely get him caught, and Rampage does have the power to put him out even with a grazing shot. And that's what Fedor's chin's been as bad as it is, and Rampage's power being what it is, and all that stuff. But I feel like Fedor, knowing who Rampage is, and them both knowing each other, I think Fedor's going to give him a little bit more respect and not go out and just fight sloppy, kind of like he did against Maldonado. He's not going to go out and just try to go for the kill. He's going to go out there and fight, and he always goes for the kill, but he's not going to go out there just running for it. He's going to go out there and looking for it. He's going to go out there and try to set it up and not just run for it like he did against Maldonado, which almost caused him to lose a fight. And really, he did lose that fight. But, yeah. But back to the thing. So I feel like Rampage is the better striker. He has the better defense. But at this moment, he kind of just became a fat guy. Like, his hands aren't as fast. Fedor has a fast striking. I think Fedor is technical enough to really, outvalue him and kind of freeze Rampage up into just a blocking game, just doing jabs and stuff in there, maybe doing a power strike or a haymaker in there every now and then, not just, wilding out and fall into Rampage's trap where he just rolls a shot and catches you. I feel like Fedor's going to, be more respectful, knowing who Rampage is and knowing what Rampage is accomplished, knowing that it's kind of a limited danger in the second. Rampage is very dangerous, but it's limited. He's not going to go out there and try to slam you or take you down or ground and pound or throw head kicks. He's going to throw punches. So I feel like Fedor's going to be mindful of that and those shots and not really fall into Rampage's range or leave himself open to counters and fight a pretty smart fight, but still looking for the kill. And I think he can possibly fight a kill against Rampage, but Rampage's chin is very solid. He's very tough, very good defense. And then, so in the strike aspects, like, that's why I say it right there. But for his grappling aspects, I think at this point, neither of them are really going to grapple too much, but I feel like Fedor can have the edge there in the takedown. I don't think Rampage is even going to try to attempt to take it down unless he get hurt. And even on the ground, if Rampage takes Fedor down, I think Fedor could get right back up. But if Fedor takes Rampage down, Rampage is going to take quite a minute to get back up. Already at this point, being fat and really not as motivated. He's probably gonna be okay to just lay on the ground for a lot of the fight and probably give up like more than half the round on his back before he even attempts to get up. So really in this fight, this comes down to who's more motivated. That's really what I'm saying. I said all the stuff just to say that basically Fedor is more motivated. I think he could push a higher pace than Rampage at this point. Neither of them can really maintain a high pace at this point, but I think Fedor can at least push a higher pace, at least be more consistent than Rampage throughout this fight, where Rampage will be looking for big shots here and there, trying to roll with shots. I think Fedor's activity is going to really be what's going to win him the fight. Rampage is going to be looking to land 1 or 2 big shots, swinging big, slow shots. I think he will be dangerous as always, but I think Fedor, like I said, going to be more active, be more hungry, and that's really going to be the tell of this fight. Fedor is more hungry at this point. He's on his retirement tour, and he's always going there for the kill. He's always trying to be the best he could be. Whereas Rampage right now, I just think he's honestly either looking for the check or he's kind of confusing himself to think that he's looking for anything more than the check. I just think right at this point, Rampage is just fighting the fight. He don't really have no drive to really be champion or no drive to be this. He just out there coming in at least a passable shape and fighting. But yeah, that's kind of what I see. So like I said, due to Rampage's toughness in his defense, I think it goes to decision. I still think it's a exciting fight because Fedor is definitely come to bring it. He's not going to just completely go on a point fighting mode, but it's still going to be a respectful type of pace, but it's definitely not going to be a crazy pace. Matter of fact, it could be crazy. But I'm gonna say he's not gonna go out there and, like I said, fight like a wild guy. That's what I'm saying. Fedor's gonna come out there and fight high pace. I mean, a good pace. He's gonna come out there going for the kill, but he's not gonna go out there fighting stupid because he know who Rampage is. But I feel like it's gonna still probably go to decision just based on Rampage's defense, his power, and Fedor respecting those skills about him. And also, Rampage is not like some scrub. He has good, respectful takedown defense, good defensive grappling, even some underrated offensive grappling. But I feel like Fedor is just more hungry. He's going to be fighting at a higher pace than him. And it's going to be, yeah, that's basically what it is. So in this fight, I got Fedor Emelianenko via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for Bellator 237, Fedor versus Rampage. And as always, thanks for watching.